Buckle up, y'all. We got a lot to catch up on. Story time. Alright, so basically, it's been a busy fall and I've worked on a lot of stuff in the van and I'm just falling behind on the video, so here we go. Basically, the front and back of van needed what? They needed something to attach ceiling panels to, so at the very front, like where the headliner is, apparently when you cut a board on its length, it's called ripping a board, even though like I used a circular saw. It probably would have taken like 5 seconds with a table saw, but it probably took me more like 5-10 minutes with a circular saw, but we do what we can. And then at the back, I had seen someone do this on YouTube, so I had 3 different pieces of wood back there, and I had found some like marine grade adhesive, and so I used this to glue that to the roof of the van, and then it was also curved back here, so I had to notch a board, which ended up having like over 100 notches. It took a while. And then I screwed that into the boards, and I must not have filmed it, but here it is at a later date. Don't look too closely because I'm getting ahead of myself. But yeah, that's how we took care of that problem. For the insulation, I decided to go with Thinsulate. So yeah, I'd just kind of measure where I was gonna put it. I'd spray on the spray adhesive, stick it on the wall or the ceiling. I stuffed it in some pockets in there as well. And I had to I found these like little cable tie things, and I used that to move the tail light cable out of the way. And then sometimes, especially like throughout the fall, the sun would go down faster and faster. So occasionally I would try to do things in the dark. Can't stop, won't stop. And then just thought I'd share a quick fun fact. If you remember when I was framing my van at my grandparents' farm, I couldn't get all the holes to line up with the rivnets, and but in all my research I stumbled upon barbed drill bits, where you can stick the drill bit in a hole and like drill sideways and expand the hole. I ended up buying, I couldn't really find a barbed drill bit, but I found this rotary file that does basically the same thing. And so I was able to, get an extra bolt in, and I haven't gone back and done the rest. I just wanted to make sure it worked, and then I had other things I'd rather do. Like putting up some cedar planks. So I wanted to do cedar planks anyways, and then I happened to be talking about it with my uncle. I have an aunt and uncle who live here in the Twin Cities, though not for much longer. They'll be moving, and they've been going through their house, and so they randomly have a bunch of boxes of cedar planks in their attic, and it's aromatic cedar, and they don't know why they have them, and they don't know how long they've been there. Like, they could be decades old. But anyways, so I got 3 free boxes of cedar planks, so we're rolling with it. They kind of have like this crystallized powder on them, and when I look it up, I guess the oils from the cedar or sap or something can kind of crystallize over time. I don't know. But I sanded it, and it smells really good. I don't know why, but aromatic cedar smells like Christmas to me, and it's a great time. It will stain your pants, but, well, it comes out in the wash. You'll be fine. But yeah, anyways, it involved a lot of sanding, painting. I tried a couple different stains. I kind of just already owned some. And I bought a little sample of, so this is Gunstock and then Ipswich and polyurethane. I kind of liked the look of the polyurethane, and I already owned a gallon of it. I had taken a community ed woodshop class like a year or two ago, and I don't know why I bought a whole gallon of polyurethane, but I did. And yeah, so that's what I'm using. And yeah, and then I started putting it up. I kind of missed being in my grandpa's workshop where he has multiple drills, because when you just have one drill, I had to keep changing the heads from the drill bit to the like whatever you call the bit to screw the screw in. You get it. Yeah, so it took some effort. Yeah, and sometimes you stop to eat lunch in your van, because why not?
And then once I had more planks up, I marked off where I wanted the puck lights to go. And then I had this hole saw, so I would drill the hole with the hole saw, and I made sure I had a piece of plywood back there because I didn't want to cut through my insulation. And then I wanted to see what it looked like, and so I put this puck light in, and I thought it was so cute. But I wanted to make sure I had the wiring in first before I put them all in. So fast forward to the wiring, and I had bought a big roll of 12 gauge wire, because that'll be the largest wire in my van, and so you definitely don't want to be using wire that's smaller than it needs to be, because that's when wire heats up and fires can start. But I don't know, I think it saves a little money. It's probably not recommended to do in your home, but it's yeah, I've seen other people do it on the internet, and I've done enough research on it to feel comfortable doing it in my own van, but not comfortable enough to tell other people to do the same. So do with that information what you will. But yeah, so, and I thought I was smart and I bought this jacketed wire, which I think is a really good idea, and it protects your wire. The only thing was when I set up the circuit for my puck lights, I had to cut into the protective jacket to access the positive and negative wire separately in order to splice in another wire that'll connect to each puck light individually. So I just had to be very careful when doing that, because you definitely don't want to, when you're cutting through the jacket of the wire, you don't want to cut through and have exposed wire, because that would not be a good idea either. Yeah, so I did that. I have my wires up with zip ties right now, but don't worry, it's not gonna stay with the zip ties. I have a plan, but I think it'll be easier to carry out the plan in my grandpa's wood shop, so I'm gonna wait until I get there. So yeah, I zip tied the wires in place for now. Yeah, and then in order to connect each puck light in this circuit, so I'm wiring my puck lights in parallel, that way if one light goes out, the others don't also go out. So in order to do that, I used these quick splices, which allows you to string, your main circuit wire and then add another wire into the splice, and that wire will run to the puck light. And yeah, it just has this piece of metal, because we all know metal is a conductor of electricity. You squeeze that down with the pliers, close your quick splice. Yeah, that's what I used. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go back and add electrical tape around these at some point, just for some added protection. Which is what I added electrical tape around the Wago connectors. And so the Wago connectors are what I use in order to make a connection between the 12 gauge wire, and then these puck lights happen to have 22 gauge wire, which with the American wire gauge system, when the numbers get bigger, the wire gets smaller. So I was connecting the very small wires of the puck lights to my 12 gauge wire. Yeah, so I used these Wago connectors, and then wrapped them in electrical tape, again for extra protection. I didn't want debris getting in there, and it also just helps secure the Wago connector, I think. I don't know, I'm not an electrician, but I'm sure try to act like one sometimes. I did a similar thing with the fan, but before I can see if any of this works, I need to connect the puck lights to my switch, and then I need to connect my wires to a fuse box that I have.
I plan to eventually keep my electrics in a cabinet that'll be in my van, but for now I just screwed my fuse box and switched to a scrap piece of plywood that was left from the subfloor. And then to attach my wires to the fuse box, I had bought these like heat shrink ring terminals, and I had found a cheap heat gun on Amazon. Yeah, so I got to test that out here. Yeah, just make sure you don't start any fires, or else the fire trucks will show up. At least that's what I assume would happen. But the fire trucks being there was not my fault at this time. Sorry. I mean, we all know I have a fire extinguisher now, so what would I need a fire truck for? Come on. No, but there was actually a minor accident nearby. Everyone was okay, and I couldn't resist getting video of the emergency vehicles to troll people later, but obviously none of us fell for it. Alright. Anyways, I have my fuse box wired, and there's spaces left. I'm gonna be adding an outlet later to connect my cooler to, but yeah, I'm gonna wait to do that until I have the walls in. And then here I am, spending quality time with my Bluetti, about ready to try out my electrical system. What a nerve-wracking time. When I set up my electrical system, or was looking into my electrical system, I had looked into doing the, you know, like the 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate batteries, getting the like solar charge controller, the shunt battery monitor, inverter, so many components, and they come separately, and I had like started putting them in my cart, and like the price was just adding up, and it was going to take up a lot of space in my van that's already smaller compared to, like, you know, the cargo vans you can stand in. So and my electrical system, like, currently the plan is not to live in my van. Maybe I'll get there someday, but I'm planning to take it on lots of trips, and my electrical system is pretty basic. So for me, it just made more sense to do my basic wiring of the puck lights and fan and my little outlet, and then I'll have my Bluetti, which has the charge controller, lithium iron phosphate battery, monitor, all that stuff, inverter, everything already nice and compact in the little Bluetti. So that's really nice. And then, yeah, so this is me ready to test and see if all my hard work pretending to be an electrician has paid off.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Oh, you have to turn this on, don't you? You have to turn this on?
Oh my gosh. Ah! It made a noise. I think that means it's gonna work now. That freaked me out for a second. So I had the power button on, but you have to like press
the DC or AC, which side you want to add power to, or you can do both at the same time, I'm pretty sure. But I did not press DC. And then this light came on, so it's giving power to this, and then I heard my fan make a noise. So I think that means it's gonna work. Whoa! That's so exciting. What? Look at this. What? Are you kidding me? Am I an electrician? Stop it. No way. All of them? All 6? No way. Get out of town. I'm so glad this works. I didn't know how to test it and I installed it and everything. What does that do? I'm just so excited my electrical worked. That's such a good feeling. I don't even know how to describe the feeling. It was just so good. And now that I had electrical in my van, I really wanted to test it out and take my van on a trip. And I just wanted it to be a nice, easy trip, and I wanted things to go well. I didn't want to get, the dreaded knock, or I wasn't ready for the boondocking or anything quite yet. I just wanted one nice little trip. And so I rented a campsite and went to William O'Brien State Park. It's in Minnesota, borders Wisconsin, on the St. Croix River. So I went on this trip in the beginning of November. It's still November. I'm planning to stay in the van to my grandparents' farm around Thanksgiving and leave him there for a little while. And it's winter. So I want to get him out of Sear and Moses' way, get him off the driveway at my grandparents' farm. I can hopefully store him in like a shed or someplace with a roof, so I don't have to worry about clearing snow off my solar panels all the time. And it gets colder and darker sooner, and work gets really busy this time of year. So I think I'm just gonna try to stay in the van as often as I can, and drive out there and work on the van just whenever I can, and we'll see how often that happens in the next couple months. But I wanted to share a little bit of my trip with you, and just a warning. So I am going to sing and play the guitar, and this is me singing and playing the guitar in my van on my first night in my van. So I want to share it and I don't at the same time. I think it's cool to go with the story and the trip. Like, it goes with the, this was my first trip with my van, and this is the song as I knew it at that time. There's just, I think my guitar's a little out of tune, and there's definitely some improvements that could be made, but we're just gonna roll with it anyways. So I'm sorry, and you're welcome. She takes all right away, she to stay. She's answered by the taillights shining through the window. Said I wanna see you, but I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? She said you're real. You ain't never gonna change. Got a gypsy soul to blame. Born for leaving. At a truck stop diner just outside. Night is black, the coffee's green. In that waitress eyes, he sees the same old light is shining. He thinks of Colorado and the girl he left behind. Said I wanna see you, but I'm stuck in cold weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? She said you're in. You ain't never gonna change. Got a gypsy soul to blame. Born for leaving. Born for leaving. Well, it's a winding road when you're in the lost and found. You're a lover, I'm a runner. We go round and round. And I love you, but I leave you. I don't want you, but I need you. Oh, it's you who calls me back here, baby. I wanna see you again, but I'm stuck in colder weather. Maybe tomorrow will be better. Can I call you then? Velvet man, never gonna change. Got a gypsy soul to blame. Born for leaving. When I close my eyes, I see you. No matter where I am, I can smell your perfume through these whispering pines. I'm with your ghost again. It's a shame about the weather. I know soon we'll be